What's up, guys? Here, Couch's Corner. I'm on the couch and I'm in the corner. And we are at Fantasyland 2018 Fantasy show here for our league. And we are at, I know this is much anticipated, Rhino's team, Tom Selleck Stache. And it is a doozy. It is a doozy, man. He's kept 18 of his 20 slots. He's paid up. He's trying to make a run. I'll go over his keepers. I don't know if this will take up the full episode or not. I'll see if I can get it in. But I hope you guys liked the first couple with the analysis, kind of going over the teams and all that stuff. But I'm watching preseason. I'm heavy into DraftKings right now. I joined a league, a membership, DFS Army, for daily fantasy, and it's been paying off. I had a big night the other night. Cash, I came first in the big one. I tied three other guys for first place, and we actually had different squads. So pretty happy with the start so far. Good investment. It was $40, $45 a month to join. But it's paid off already. So I got teams going tonight. I'll be keeping track of scores while I'm doing this. So if I get excited or throw something, you'll kind of know why. But here we go with Tom Selleck Stache. Like I said, 18 keepers. And looking over it, I think, Rhino, you've done some really good stuff with your team. It's got a lot more balance than it did last year. You made some good moves in the offseason, I think. Still a very young, unreliable team, I would say. Kind of ceiling is high. Floor is low. So yeah, high risk, high reward type team here. If you got some guys, some of those young guys you love, if they have breakout seasons, I've watched my last videos. I say breakout season like fucking a million times. So just, I think it is the key a little bit. I'll take a look here. Here are his keepers. Just a quick glance. I know it's a lot to take in, but we'll go through each and every one. Probably pretty quick, some of the younger guys. But I'll tell you who I like. Hellebuck and Nets. I traded for Bobrovsky in the offseason, and I think it's a coin flip. I think that's a good goalie. Hellebuck's one of the most sought-after fantasy goalies this year on a team that's supposedly going to do really well again in Winnipeg. They have a strong team, so Hellebuck's a good start in net and it's one of the top probably 5 goalies. You got Grubauer playing in Colorado, who should see a lot of minutes, depending on how Varlamov does. So that's hit or miss as a keeper, I think. Oh, you do have Varlamov as well, so you got that duo, which is a smart move, I think. That's a good play. You could have maybe drafted Grubauer, but that's fine, just to lock it up and have your goalies set. So basically you got two goalies. You got Winnipeg's goalie that's going to play a majority of the games, and then you got Colorado's goalie on any given night because they're going to swap a lot. So I think because you kept Grubauer, it was a smart move to keep Varlamov. So your goalies are all set. You might, I don't know if you have to pick up another one or not, just because you're going to be running 2 teams. But you can, figure that out as the season goes on with the injuries and who's playing hot, and if you're on the waiver wire and keeping up, which I have no doubt you will, Rhino. So your goalies should be all set. I'm going to kind of go through maybe some of the smaller guys and get to your big guns, but Montour on D, Yandel on D, Werenski. You have Werenski? It says it here, but yeah, okay. You must have traded him from, got him from Prestige Worldwide in the offseason. Trust me, I trust this list more than I trust myself because there's so much shit going on. So, Werenski, Dumba, and the Ghost Man, Gostenberg, he is legit as well. So, solid decor. I mean, nothing crazy stands out. You don't have any top 10 guys, I would say. Oh, and you have Hamilton too, which is a good fantasy pickup, I think. So he's up there, but I don't think he's elite by any means. But I would say it's solid decor. Might have to make some moves. You don't have any of the big names. You traded me Seth Jones for Forsberg not too long ago, which I think is good for both teams. I think Forsberg, if he stays healthy, can be a real fantasy force, and I think Seth Jones could possibly be a top 5D this season. So it's a pretty good give and take. I like it for my team, and I'm sure you like it for your team too, but we'll get to Forsberg later. So D-Core I'd rank as like a B plus. Nothing crazy stands out. You don't have any of the big guns. Burns, Carlson, John Carlson, trying to think of some others, Seth Jones now, but pretty solid stuff. I really like Ghost there, and Yandel should have a good year in a really talented Panthers team. But he doesn't do a lot of the peripherals. He doesn't hit. He doesn't take PIMs, but he'll put up a ton of assists, I think, and probably get some shots on net. So Montour, I think, is a questionable keeper. I think he's a good young D. I don't think it's anyone that he would have been drafted in the first 4 rounds, maybe. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's someone you couldn't have picked up. But if you wanted him on your team, a young, good D-man for Anaheim, good for you. You got him, and you locked him in. So if you got the money to do it, you may as well do it. So good decor. Sorry, I got some allergies. May as well cheers to you guys. Having some wine tonight to watch the games and do this podcast thingy. So cheers to you guys. Cheers to the league. Preseason's in full swing, and I love it. So I hope you guys are watching, staying up to date on some of the news and some of the young guys. It's been pretty good hockey if you haven't been watching, and it makes me excited for the year. If this is how good the hockey is and how exciting it is so far, we're in for a good year, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So good decor. I'm going to switch over to your list on this team too, just to kind of see your position plays, but. Yeah, so decor is solid. Let's get back to your forwards. Some of your guys I think are a little bit questionable to spend a lot of money on. Was Dubois for Columbus. I think you could have drafted him fine. Mittelstad's another guy. He could have a big year, but it's not locked in. He's not going to be a first-line center. Best, he's second-line center. But he is scouted to be a pretty good player. So we'll see what happens with him. Again, I'm one of those guys that has a pretty high ceiling and pretty low floor. So big risk, big reward, I guess. But someone I think you could have maybe drafted and saved a couple bucks if that's the guy you were eyeing up. I don't think anyone else in our league, to be honest, has any clue who that guy is. Apart from a few guys possibly, but he wasn't on my radar. But good for you if that's a hunch you have, and we'll see if he takes off. Another thing, I apologize. I keep looking down and not at you guys. I know it's bad form for camera work, but I gotta remind myself who I'm talking about, and I think you guys won't knock me any stars on my my Yelp reviews or anything. I'm hoping. Okay, let's get to some of the bigger names now, and this is where I think you improved a lot. A lot of big trades, I think. Draisaitl, I like that pickup. Again, he's another guy I think could be a big player. I don't like that they're not playing with McDavid, because I think that duo is unreal. And they just separate them to kind of spread out the love, and I think they need to do that, I guess. But if I had him on my team, I'd be a little upset. He is going to get first power play minutes, which is great. On a unreal, maybe the best power play possibly. Did you know Oilers had the worst power play last year, which is shocking? So I'm assuming they addressed that in the offseason. They probably practiced it a lot. I know they had a good game last night. I'm going to sneeze. False alarm. And they were lighting it up. So I think they have to address that as the Oilers. I mean, if they don't have the top PP in the league, something's wrong, and they got to change it up. So I think it's something they must have addressed, and hopefully that pays off for a guy like Draisaitl, who can get up to that 80, 90-point season again, which I think will be tough not playing with McJesus every night, 5-on-5, but he's going to get power play minutes, and he's going to put up points nightly, I would assume. He's just too good. So he was a guy I liked on my team. I think I had him for a bit, and I got rid of him, but he was a jersey I really wanted. So I might come after him a little later. You'll hear from me, Rhino. So that's one of your bigger guns. Who else do we got here? JT Miller is going to play on a solid Tampa team. Again, not someone I think you had to keep, but I think if I drafted him, I would have been happy. So if you got if you want to drop the money for him, you got him on your team. You locked him up as one of those guys in late rounds, mid to late round guys that could take off. So, he's a good player to have on your team. And now we're going to get to some of your bigger guns. And you have a few, so you should be pretty happy here. I'll start at what I think is kind of the bottom and work my way up to your bigger guns. Is Beauger in Vancouver. Man, if you guys haven't watched Peterson for Vancouver, I think he was second overall this year's draft, second or third. One of the top end blue chip guy. I saw him, man. He is good. I like him a lot, and guys should be targeting him in their draft for especially a keeper league. He's not going to put up hits. He's not going to put up PIMs. He's going to put up a lot of power play points, a lot of assists. He's a playmaker, and he has a pretty good shot too once he dials it in and kind of gets comfortable in the NHL. I think he's going to be a force, and then him with Beauger on that first line power play. I don't know what the line combos are going to be going forward. I know they played tonight, and they're not on tallied on the scouting list to be on the top line together. I think they have Beauger on the second line. It means nothing in the preseason, so who knows. But on the power play, they'll definitely see some time together, and that could be a really good combo to have. So I don't think he's going to get to you, Rhino, because you're going to be drafting 10th and 11th. You only have 2 picks in this year's draft. So, I mean, if you get Peterson in the 10th round, I'm going to shoot myself. So I don't think it's going to happen. So I think that's something someone else lower that didn't keep a lot of keepers should think of. Not to give away a lot of tips on everyone's thought process and what I would do, but I like to give some tips to some of the guys that are going to need help with the Bucket List Disciples has a lot of draft picks. You got to think 2 steps ahead. It's kind of like chess where maybe you don't want Peterson on your team, but you got to think that's going to be someone Rhino's going to go after and like. He's a young guy. He's going to be in the league for years. He's playing with Beauger. So if you get him on your team, you could possibly trade up for an upgrade that someone's going to pay off more this year as more of a solid guaranteed player. So something to think about with Beauger. It's a tough one. I think next I'll go Eichel. He's going to have one of those years, one of these times that's going to be tops in the league, where he's going to be making a run for MVP. He's going to put up nearly 100 points if he stays healthy on a much improving Sabres team where they're running and gunning. They got young guys coming in. Eichel is a scary, scary guy. He doesn't take a lot of PIMs. He doesn't hit. But he can score a ton of goals. He plays shorthanded. He can score shorthanded goals, which is big points. Definitely power play goals. He's got a wicked shot. So Eichel is a premium guy. Definitely debatable late first round. Probably not with the talent, but definitely second round potential. So he's definitely one of your elite guys. And that brings me to Forsberg, who averaged 4.7 fantasy points, which is near the top of the league. But he has injury problems constantly. Nashville's such a good team that they play well defensively, so they're not just running and gunning. He's got to be responsible defensively. So, but Forsberg's another one of those guys that's could have a breakout season and tear it up for you. So, a good pickup there, Forsberg. It's funny how he was getting tossed around. I never, and this is, don't mind my pun, the Achilles heel of my team is I don't picture guys on my team, and this was one of the guys, Forsberg. I knew it was a good trade for me to do with Pietrangelo, just long term, but I just knew he wasn't on my team. He wasn't supposed to be on my team. It's one of those guys that I just didn't like. didn't look right on Team Achilles. So I knew I was going to move him, and I knew he was I could get something big for him. So hopefully it doesn't come to bite me in the ass, but it could. And if that happens, I'll deal with it then and watch Rhino cruise through the money. And finally, I think we're at, Evander Kane, man. I think, getting Carlson, Burns, the top line, Thornton's back. So you got Thornton, Kane, Pavelski on top line with Burns, Carlson on the point for potentially that's their power play, which is got to be the best in the league by far. And if it's not, I don't know what they're going to do, because they invested highly in Carlson. But that acquisition of Carlson for the Sharks is upping everyone's value by a ton, just how talented he is, how much he can move the puck. You're going to get a ton of assists. You're going to get a ton of good passes from Carlson. He's going to create a lot of offensive opportunities no matter where he is. You might have to deal with some plus-minus issues, but we don't have those issues here in our league. So nothing you have to worry about. So I know Dwayne traded him before the Carlson trade. I forget who you got from. Oh, Trocheck. There was a Trocheck Kane straight up, I believe. If I'm wrong, just let me know. But I mean, give or take, it's Trocheck for Kane. And I love Trocheck too. Don't get me wrong. That's going to be a money player for you. And I'll get to what I did there with the Trocheck trade initially last season. So, I mean, Kane has the potential. He's going to put up 100 PIMs, hits, he gets goals. He could be a 30, 40 goal scorer this year. I mean, he could be a 40 goal scorer, 100 PIM guy. If he stays healthy. I know the way he plays, he bangs, he'll get in a fight here and there. So he kind of runs into some issues because he plays so hard. But I think now that he's in a good team with very high expectations to go to the Cup Finals. I'm sure they're eyeing the Cup if they picked up Carlson, and they made the playoffs last year without him. They picked up Kane late. I mean, they're making moves, so maybe that'll dial down his run and gun mentality where he's just a chicken with his head cut off, running around hitting people, fighting. He might dial it in and focus on the team play, what's best for the team, and scoring some goals, getting to the net. I think he has a new sense of purpose in San Jose, and I think Evander Kane, watch out, could be a top 5 overall fantasy point guy this year. I mean, he's scary. He's a scary dude. I think, I know after the Carlson trade, Dwayne did mention something that it sucks, but I think he's happy with Trocheck too. So, and finally, your big gem, the cornerstone of your team is Nathan MacKinnon. Definitely, I think, was the MVP of the league last year. I read some articles saying he got gypped last year. Hall got the MVP of the league. When I thought for sure. I mean, I've watched a ton of MacKinnon last year, and he was far and beyond any other player on the ice. He was dominant. He was a different speed. A different caliber. I mean, it was shocking to see how good a player could be at the NHL level versus NHL guys, and this guy had it for the first time. I knew he was first overall a while ago, and now it's kind of paying off. He's found his groove. He's got a very good line that's gelling, that's got a lot of chemistry. I watched a preseason game 2 nights ago. I loaded up with them on DraftKings. And they had a ton of opportunities, just didn't bury. He was slamming the door. He was pissed. So I kind of like that in the preseason. He's pissed off that he's not scoring in the preseason. He wants to make a statement. I think he knows he got gypped. He knows he's the best in the league right now. So I think he's got something to prove. He's got a little chip on the shoulder. And it could be different. If he won the Hart Trophy last year, he could have had a great summer. Maybe dialed it down in the training room. These guys are all professionals, so I'm not, I'm not doubting that they're going out boozing every night. But it does give you another sense of motivation. If you won the Hart Trophy, made the playoffs, you're a hero. Your motivation goes down. You have, you're comfortable. You're like, holy shit, I did it. Now he's pissed off that the league didn't recognize it, and apparently, and this is what I heard in some podcasts is of all the GMs or the coaches that voted, there was 5 that didn't even have him on their list, and there people were talking like, that's crazy. That's crazy, and it's kind of corrupt. It sounds like a little bit, and he got screwed. So, I don't know. I just don't know. Maybe he's not well liked by coaches. Maybe he's got an attitude problem. Maybe he's cocky, because I could see that too. He's got a little bit of an attitude. But when it comes to fantasy, it doesn't matter. If he puts up points, you don't have to like the guy. He's just got to perform, and he did last year, and I think he's definitely going to do it again this year. I don't know if Colorado can do what they did last year, but they got the same team. I think they got good D if they stay healthy. They got Rantanen and McKinnon, the captain's face there. I can't think of his Langenskog, sorry. Captain face. And a couple, I mean, they're pretty top heavy, but I mean, that top line and top power play is killer. So I think McKinnon is a gem. He's top 5. Every draft I'm doing this year, if I can get my hands on McKinnon, I've taken him as early as 4th overall, 5th overall, just because I think he's going to be league leader, making another run for the Hart Trophy. So overall, I think you overspent a little bit, but I think you knew that, and you had the coin to do it off another sports bet. You can tell the boys that if you want, but you have a solid team, man. I think you could make a run, but it depends on a lot of these young guys. I think you're going to need to make some moves. I think you need to make a goalie move, because you can't just depend on 2 teams. If, just say, Colorado doesn't perform and they kind of go back to earth, you're going to have 2 goalies now that are on a subpar team, and I don't know if that's something you're going to have to address, but you're pretty well balanced. I think you got a lot of D, you got a lot of forwards. I haven't really checked out positions just because it doesn't go in our league thing here, so I don't know everyone's position. Right wing is Bozier, Eichel center, McKinnon center, Du Bois center, left wing, so that's left wing, I would say. I mean, you could be Middlestad center. So, I mean, again, the centers, there is a ton of good centers, guys, and a lot of people have them. We addressed that with Corey's team, makes sense. 5 just center eligible is an issue, and you got 3, and I know Forsberg's left wing. So I think you got 3. So you're done there. You can't have any more centers. What's Draisaitl? I think he's dual, or I think he's wing actually. I don't have him up here. I forget who you got him from. Makes sense, I think. I'm gonna go check to see what Draisaitl is. If he's on Corey's team, not on Corey's team. Maybe Prestige Worldwide. He's not on there yet. I can't find him, but I think he might be wing eligible too. But I know he plays center on the second line for Edmonton, so could be an issue. If that guy's just center, which I don't think he is, you should be all right. But other than that, man, you got solid, really good forwards. You got Hellebuck is obviously top D. It could be an interesting year for you, man. It's going to be a roller coaster ride, I'm sure. There's going to be big droughts from some of these guys. They're going to get hot and cold. Someone like Eichel can go very hot and cold, but when they're hot, and if they stay hot, you're a scary looking team, man. And going through the power rankings, I forget what you were. I'm not even going to bring up the power rankings. I'll pull that up later. But you're in the mid-range, kind of getting to that upper tier where guys are cashing. And I think you're investing enough here with what people have to draft. You took a lot of good players. You paid for it, so you need to cash. But I think you have the potential to do it. But you're going to need a lot of luck, a lot of help, and you're going to need to stay on that waiver wire. Pick up the goalies, pick up any D, centers. Keep an eye on your max games with centers and stuff like that. But Rhino, you're on this shit more than anyone else almost. You and D-Lionel maybe competing now. So I'm trying to get there. And I think I will this year because this is too much money at stake. And I want a piece of it. I want that jersey. So, and I know you want it too. I'm always interested to know Rhino, what jersey, if your team stays the same and you don't get anyone else that's the MVP of your team, and this is it, what jerseys are you going with? Is it white, red, third jersey, home or away? I want to know it because that interests me, and I know it's motivation for a lot of guys, and I know it is for me. So I might get some more teams tonight. I'm going to watch a little more of the second periods here in the NHL. I'll try to get this uploaded, and then get to kind of the real deal teams. Hey, Rhino, you almost made it, bud. You almost made it to the real deal teams. I think next year you're going to be, you got to prove some people wrong this year and make this investment pay off. But cheers, boys. Couch's Corner out. Preseason, pre-draft preseason for Fantasyland 2018.